Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Harrison and I'm here today to talk to you about formative assessment. I'm currently a teacher outside of Atlanta, Georgia in Cobb County at the Cobb Online Learning Academy. Do you wish that you could clone yourself? Take care of all that extra work that you need to get done? Everyone wishes they could clone themselves. Do you want that home work-life balance? Do you want to learn how to work smarter, not harder, so that you can achieve that work-home balance? You don't need to clone yourself. Think about formative assessment. I'm about to give you the who, what, where, when, and why of formative assessment. Except I'm going to leave out the who and the where because who is our students. The where is at school. So what is formative assessment? It is a check for understanding. It's an assessment tool to help you adjust your instruction. When should you use it? Daily, as students are learning. There's this book called The Artisan Teacher. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you read that book. It's by Mike Rutherford, and he has a strategy in his book called Teach, Teach, Check. And it's perfect with formative assessment because what he's saying is chunk your teaching. Chunk a little bit, right, like a mini lesson, okay, teach another little chunk, and then assess. Assess your kids. Give them that formative assessment of teach, teach, check. Teach, teach, check. Teach, teach, check. How do you use it? Well, formative assessment can be used in many forms. Actually, you should mix up your formative assessment so that you keep the kids engaged and motivated to learn. You can use things like a checklist, non-graded assignments. Remember, formative assessments do not always have to be graded because you are just checking daily for their understanding. You can use rubrics. You can do think, pair, shares. You can do ticket out the doors. There is an exhausting list of formative assessment ideas that you could bounce between each day. Why do we want to do formative assessment? Well, we need to address what you're teaching and if the kids are understanding the teaching. You might want to ask yourself 3 questions. Are you teaching what you think you're teaching? Are students learning what they're supposed to be learning? Here you can also differentiate and personalize the learning for the students. And then remember, data drives instruction. So if you never formally assess, how do you know where your students are? How do you know what's the next steps? Let that data drive your instruction. Remember, don't get overwhelmed. You don't need to grade all the formative assessments if you're doing it daily. You're just trying to check where your students are and where they need to go next, making those adjustments in your instruction. Students also need to know where they are and what their next steps are for learning. That brings in that differentiated and personalized learning approach. I want you to think of a simple format that you could use every time you do formative assessment. So you do your teach in mini chunks, and then when you assess, give them a little quiz, and I'm going to walk you through an actual example right now. And you give them a little quiz. I would highly recommend like 5 to 10 questions, no more than that. Right? And don't make the questions extensive so that they have to take 30 minutes to read it. Okay? Quick assessment. So give them a quick quiz, then give them a poll. Your poll is not about the content. Your poll is about how did they feel about the quiz. Discuss those feelings as a class. Have a discussion. You can throw in some of the content there too. And then have the students reflect. It's not really about the quiz. It's about students really reflecting on their learning, and you're reflecting on how you adjust your lesson. The students should be thinking, where am I on this topic and where should I go? Should I extend it? Did I know everything? Or do I still need some practice? So let me walk you through exactly what I would do with my students. So let's say that we did this ed puzzle, and so I don't have it up here, but I have an ed puzzle on the solar system, and students need to learn the size of the planets compared to Earth, the distance from the sun compared to Earth. Remember, they're comparing everything to the Earth. Then they need to know what's the difference between inner planets, outer planets, what's on the surfaces and the atmosphere of these planets. And so when I chunk all that information, I might want to assess on each one of those topics. So when I say chunk, one day I do size of planets compared to the Earth. Okay, check them. Where are they on it? Did they understand? So after they could do something like an ed puzzle, which gives them questions in between to actually understand the content. Then you can go over here to quizzes, right? And in my library, I made a quiz, 10 questions right here. Go ahead and give that quiz to them live. Okay? See how your kids do on the quiz. Then after you do the quiz, the one I chose was 10 questions, but they're really short. What is the smallest planet? Okay? Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do a survey. So let me print it in present mode for you. I actually already solved it. I was playing with it. So these are the questions. I asked the students, how challenging was this quiz? And so they might say, too difficult, just right, too easy. The second question I give them is, how confident did you feel about your answers? I said, I'm a genius. I knew every question. Or I'm a superhero. I got some wrong, but I persisted. Or I'm a transformer. I need a lot more practice. Practice will turn me into a genius. And then the next slide, I asked them, did you feel prepared for the quiz? Yes or no? I just gave them 3 reflection questions. I also tried something like Mentimeter. You could use Mentimeter, and you can give them the link, and this one just says, again, they rate themselves, and I said, how well do you think you understood? The answers I gave them was, I'm a novice. I'm just starting to learn this. I need lots of practice. I'm an apprentice. I have almost learned this. I need more practice. I'm a practitioner. I understand this. I can show my understanding. Or I'm an expert. I understand this, and I can teach someone else how to do that. Notice how I put in descriptors so students know what novice, apprentice, practitioner, and expert means. So Poll Everywhere or Mentimeter can be both of your surveys that the kids feel about the score they got from these quizzes on planets. So after they did their lesson, Edpuzzle, okay? We did a quiz. I'm checking now for formative assessment. I did a survey on them, how they felt. And now I'm going to go over to what we call formative. You could use Class Kicks formative. And I put in this goal, what is your learning goal for this topic? And before I do this, we're going to have a discussion about how they felt based on the results. I can see too, like how many kids felt good about it, how many kids need more practice, because I have all those things on the screen in the tabs already ready to go. And even when they're reflecting on their learning goal, I could be looking at their results. And the students should, and have them practice going, my learning goal for this topic is, and they can use their answers from here. So if they said that they're an apprentice, they can use these descriptive. I've almost learned it, but I need more practice. And then they can say what they need more practice in. I did a response, so I said something like this. I was an apprentice, so I'm developing the skills, but I still need someone to coach me through it. I will review, and then I say what I'm going to do. Tell them to say what they're going to do. I will review the notes in the modules, write my questions down for Miss H, and quiz myself until I get a 90% at least. So, again, that step, you teach, check. Check is my quiz, then my survey, and then have them reflect. The most important part of formative assessment is that students reflect on their learning. And then while they're reflecting, you can be looking. So the next day in your instruction, you're adjusting your instruction. Your kids who got 100%, you need to extend them. Have them do something else. Those kids who still need practice, that's when you reteach. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed watching my formative assessment. I have lots of ideas about formative assessment, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for listening. Bye. Have a great day.